All right, today we're diving into one of the most powerful and honestly heartbreaking tales from the Uttarakhanda of the Ramayana. This is the story of Love and Kush, the twin sons of Lord Ram and Sita. And let me tell you, it's a legend that really puts duty up against family and pits pure innocence against an entire empire.
And this really gets us to the heart of it, the central question that just kicks this whole saga off. How on earth did two young boys, raised out in a forest ashram, have the strength and just the sheer nerve to challenge the most powerful emperor of their time? We're talking about defying the entire kingdom of Ayodhya. To figure that out, we have to start right where they did, with the challenge itself.
So, the story just explodes into action right away. Emperor Ram is performing the Ashwamedha Yagna. Now, this is a massive ceremony, basically a way to declare to the world that he's the undisputed sovereign. A sacred horse is let loose, and wherever it wanders, that kingdom has a choice. Either you bow to Ram's rule, or you get ready for war. Simple as that. But then, the horse wanders into a forest, and two young boys just capture it. And you have to understand, this is not some kid's prank. This is a direct, public challenge to the emperor. It's an open declaration of war.
Okay, so the line has been drawn in the sand. A challenge has been thrown down from deep within the forest. Think about it. The greatest empire on earth has just been defied. Now, Ayodhya has no choice but to respond. They're sending their armies to figure out who is behind this incredible act of courage, or maybe just pure foolishness.
But hold on. Before we jump into the clash of armies, we've got to rewind a bit. Because to really get why these two boys are doing what they're doing, you absolutely have to understand the story of their mother, Queen Sita. You have to understand the deep sorrow that set all of this in motion.
So, after the Great War with Ravana, Ram and Sita have this triumphant return to Ayodhya. But then, something awful happens. Vicious rumors start to spread among the public, people questioning Sita's purity after her time in Lanka. And Ram, as king, feels bound by his duty to his people. He makes an absolutely impossible, gut-wrenching choice. He exiles his own pregnant wife to the forest. Can you imagine? Alone, abandoned? But then she's found by the great sage Valmiki, who thankfully gives her shelter in his ashram.
And this decision, this whole tragedy, really hinges on one single concept: Raj Dharma. Now, this isn't just some rule in a book. It's the sacred, absolute duty of a king, to put the well-being and the moral image of his kingdom above everything else. And I mean everything, above his personal feelings, his relationships, even his own wife. This one principle is what creates the deep, painful conflict at the very core of this story.
So, while life in Ayodhya goes on with Ram on the throne, a completely different story is starting to unfold out in the forest. It's in Valmiki's ashram that Sita gives birth to twin boys, Love and Kush. Now, these boys are princes, true royalty by blood, but they're raised as sons of the forest, a world away from any palace.
And their teacher is none other than the great sage Valmiki himself. The education these boys get is, well, it's fit for gods, not just kings. They master the Vedas and Shastras, they become archers without equal, and they get this incredibly deep understanding of Dharma. But here's the most amazing twist of fate. Valmiki teaches them his own epic poem, the Ramayana. So they learn and perfectly recite the story of their own father, having no idea at all who they really are.
And that brings us right back to where we started, the captured horse and the battle that's about to erupt. So Ayodhya's army shows up, probably expecting to teach a couple of rowdy forest kids a lesson. Haha, they have absolutely no clue what's coming for them.
The first army to arrive is led by none other than Shatrughna, Ram's own brother. And the battle that follows is, well, it's fast, and the result is completely shocking. Shatrughna and his entire army are defeated by just two boys. When news of this impossible victory gets back to the capital, you can just imagine the disbelief.
Okay, so now Ayodhya is taking this seriously. They send in a true legend, Lakshmana, another of Ram's brothers, and frankly, one of the greatest warriors of that age. He's leading an even bigger, stronger army. And yet, the result is exactly the same. Even the mighty Lakshmana is defeated by the twins' almost supernatural skill. It's becoming terrifyingly clear to everyone that these are not ordinary kids.
His brothers are defeated. His armies are in shambles. The emperor of Ayodhya has no other choice. Ram himself comes to the battlefield, and when he gets there, he just stops, completely stunned by the incredible skill and bravery of these two mysterious boys. And he has no idea,
No idea at all that he's standing face to face with his own sons.
This is it. The conflict has reached its absolute peak. A father is about to fight his own children, and he doesn't even know it. It's right here in this incredibly tense moment that all the threads of the past finally come together. And the truth? Well, the truth is about to come out.
So, in the aftermath of this standoff, Ram finally learns who they are. He finds out that these two unbelievable warriors are Love and Kush, his sons, the sons he never knew existed, born to Sita in the forest, raised by the great sage Valmiki. I mean, he's completely overwhelmed, and all he wants is to bring them and Sita back to Ayodhya and finally make his family whole again.
But you have to see it from Sita's side. For her, just going back isn't that simple. She has lived with the pain of being unjustly accused for years. And to clear her name, once and for all, not for Ram, but for the whole world that ever doubted her, she decides to make one final, powerful statement.
So standing there in front of the entire court, in front of all the people of Ayodhya, Sita makes this incredibly powerful appeal. She calls upon her own mother, Bhumi Devi, the earth goddess, to be her witness. She says essentially, if I have always been faithful and pure, may Mother Earth take me into herself. It's a request for the ultimate proof.
And what happens next is it's both miraculous and completely heartbreaking. The ground actually opens up. Mother Earth rises to embrace her daughter, taking Sita back into her arms. Her purity is proven, beyond a shadow of a doubt, for all time. But that family reunion, it's over before it can even begin. Love and Kush are left with their father, but their mother is gone forever.
So, what are we supposed to take away from this incredible legend? The story of Love and Kush is so much more than just a tale of a crazy battle. It's a really deep look into truth, into duty, and the enormous sacrifices that those things can demand from us.
I think what makes this story stick with you is how it perfectly lays out all these conflicting duties. You've got the son's duty, their putra dharma, to defend their mother's honor. You've got their devotion to their teacher. And then you have the king's harsh, lonely duty to his people, his Raj dharma. This legend just makes it so clear that these duties don't always line up. Sometimes they force you into tragic, impossible choices.
And that really brings us to the story's big, lingering question, doesn't it? When a sacred duty, something you have to do, clashes with what feels like profound personal justice, what's the right path? The legend of Love and Kush doesn't give us a simple answer. Instead, it just asks us to think about that difficult and, sometimes heartbreaking balance between the two.